Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hi,
Welcome
everyone.
back. Yay! And I have Nan here today. And you've done a lot on our channel these past couple weeks. I know.
Yeah,
I
I've
know.
been all over your channel.
I know. And it's so nice. I love it. Love
It's
it.
been really fun. Yes, doing some with Trevor. That was really fun too.
Yes. And I think, I'm not positive, but I think you and I are coming up. Would it be our like 8-year anniversary? 7-year?
Oh my God, has it?
Figure that out. Something like that.
I think it's 7, or is it?
7. I know, I'm not sure.
Wow,
Yes,
7 years,
I
Pam.
know.
Congratulations on our anniversary.
Congratulations. Yes, that's so nice. All right, so let's just open space real quick and get on with the conversation. Whew. Thank you, Spirit, for this amazing opportunity to come together with Nana, in this beautiful circle, and everyone who's listening. We're so grateful that you're all here. We set the intention that everyone receive what they need from this conversation today. Thank you so very much for showing up, for being here. Oh, we ask to be grounded. If you need to drop a grounding cord or roots into the earth, however you ground for yourself. Ooh, it's so our Deva can feel safe. He or she can feel present. Thank you, Spirit, for this opportunity. We open and hold this space at love and learning. I hear a learning too. And so it is. All right. So that was a quick one, but
So it is.
and so it is.
Wow, time really flies.
I know it does.
God. And
Well,
here we
what? Go ahead. Sorry.
and here we are today.
I know. About to do, I think we're going to talk about relationships today, right?
A little bit at least.
Well, a little bit. How would you like to start that?
Well, like I told you before we started recording, dating. Dating is really hard. Dating is really hard. At least I was born 1990, so I would be like the millennial generation. I can only speak for my generation. I don't know how the younger ones do it, but I can't imagine them being a lot better than my
No.
generation. And it's not only me, but like I talked to Trevor. We talked a little bit on that podcast
You
that we
did.
did. A lot of my friends. So it's either people that like they've been together since they were really, really, really young, and they just kind of built a strong relationship and they just kind of stuck together. But people that are still single in my age, it's just really hard. Like so much is so different. So I just wanted to kind of ask, when you dated when you were younger, how was that? How is it different from today?
Oh,
How did you guys
oh,
met?
there.
We're really
Yeah.
effed up here.
Yeah. So different. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, we didn't have, you had to actually go out and meet people. You
What
couldn't,
does that mean?
I
Okay.
know you did. You'd go to, we had a lot of, at least in where I grew up, there were like dance clubs and stuff. You'd go out dancing, or you'd go to a bar, which I know is not great, but those were places to meet people. Those were anywhere people gathered. Um, they had a lot of things going on, like they had fairs and in the parks, and they had, there were gatherings. But you had to go out. You had to leave your home. You weren't going to meet anyone sitting on your sofa. Like now, you could sit on your sofa and
Exactly. Exactly. And
do
you
it.
know, you're right, because like I said, I'm born 1990, so I'm still in the generation where when I was like 18, 19, 20, you had cell phones, but it wasn't like it is today. Like not
Right.
at all. There were smartphones, but it was the early smartphones, and there wasn't all these Tinder. You had Facebook. I think Instagram came a little later, but that was more like for just picture taking. You couldn't really like chit chat with
I think I
someone.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like 2010 or something. So even back then, I remember me and my friends, me and my girlfriends, we went out on weekends because you know we were young, and that big
Yeah.
exactly what you said. That's where you did meet people.
Yeah.
I didn't meet a lot of great guys, but that's where I met them, and you kind of
Yeah.
flirted and you exchanged numbers, or even Facebook. Sometimes you could, like, you know, the next day, like, oh, he added me on Facebook, and then you could chat, but then you met up again. But I agree, we used to meet outside. But like fast forward 5, 10 years, and it's so funny because me and my friend, we were out one evening and was like, okay, let's go out, let's meet someone. But people don't talk to you
You
like before, and I think it's because of these damn dating apps, you know?
and I don't remember what I was watching, but it just, when you said that, there was someone talking about how you can obviously still go to bars now, but everyone is on their phone.
Yeah,
And they're
exactly.
not even talking to each other now. Not even
No,
talking to it. You're face down in your phone. How do
exactly.
you, like, you had to talk to people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Even when I was 20, you talk because that was the point of going out. If I wanted
Right.
to just sit and look at my friend, I could do that anywhere.
Right.
The point was to like socially engage, maybe meet somebody, have fun conversations with other people. But absolutely. So these damn phones, I mean,
Yes.
really great for a lot of things, but it's just so bizarre to me that we even lost that. It's almost like people are even more shy, like face to face now.
Oh
It's
my
like, if
gosh.
I'm gonna flirt with
Well,
someone, I'll
yeah.
do it on my phone.
Yes.
Have we lost the ability? What is going
Yes.
on?
It's really, I've noticed that with the younger generation. Not as much.
Yeah,
Yours is still kind of borderline because both of my kids are in your same, in that group. My kids, you are very good at like looking people in the eye and talking to them. Like the three of you're very good about that, as are their spouses. You can actually do that. But so many cannot. And then even go younger than you, they won't
yeah.
even look at you. They don't know how to look at people. It's
Right. Yes.
it's crazy. Yeah, customer service has gone to the dogs.
You're right. I mean, I remember just the other we have a store here where it's got a little cheaper makeup, hair products, whatever. It's like one of those stores. And I think they have a thing where they hire really young people, you know, maybe people that work extra or something. I think it's their thing. And really, just like you say, it's so fun to watch. It's like they don't look at you in the eye,
Nope.
very rarely. Like
Yeah.
if someone does it, I'm almost shocked. And then like they talk to each other and then just scan my things, and
Yes.
they don't even
Yes.
tell me the price. They
Oh,
don't tell me
the
hi. They don't
talking
tell
to
me.
each other thing. Yes, like you're
You're
not
like,
really even you're
you're just
secondary to
standing
what
there.
they're
You're like, okay, I guess I'm gonna walk away. Like, sorry for disturbing your
I'm
conversation.
sorry I've been your conversation. It almost feels like you're being intrusive. Like,
I
because you're
know.
in this.
Like, excuse me, I want to pay you.
Yeah, can you just bring this up for me?
Ridiculous. Oh no,
But
I have to give my generation. We are better with that,
yes.
definitely. And I think again because I think I'm the last generation that grew up without cell phones. Like, you know, you didn't have
Yeah.
cell phone. I can remember being 9, 10 years old and having a cell phone. No, I think I got my first very simple, you could call and hang up cell
Yeah,
phone. You
that
could
was it.
private text exactly when I was maybe 11, 12. And that was because I was out with my friend. My mom wanted to baby call me, you know?
That's so funny because my kids still give me such a hard time about it. They were in
Yeah.
middle school, which that's kind of that age, and I only let them have those kind of phones that had my number in it, their dad's number, and like an emergency contact. That was it. That was it.
What more did you need
Why
at
do
that?
you need that? Like, but all their friends had phones and they were, texting or sending. Back then, a real big thing, I guess it might be now, but sending naked pictures and stuff was like, and of course, on my kids' phones, I had pictures set, like you couldn't take pictures, you couldn't send them. Like, no, you're not doing any of that. And they give me the hardest time now about that. But what, I never saw the purpose, and I thought, no, I want you. No, because
Yeah,
there instinctively we just kind of knew this could be bad for society in some ways.
it
And
definitely. I mean,
just
again, everything
connect,
has
just
sides and bad
connection.
sides. I think it's great that we have access to a
Yes.
lot of information. That's amazing. And it's good that
Absolutely.
we can keep talk like we're talking right now. That's amazing. We couldn't really do that 20 years ago. Like it didn't exist in this way. But the downside is definitely that kind of social interaction face to face is
Yes.
just, and
Oh,
then imagine dating. Like it's just
I can't. No, no. And that really goes for, and I'm going to say this in this one, it really goes to not just finding, like dating, like finding a partner, just making friends, just connecting with other people. There are a
right.
lot of such lonely people. They get online and they look to just try to connect, and it's through commenting. It's like that's not real connection.
And isn't it strange that we live in a world with 7 billion people with so much access to connection, but yet we're so lonely, many of us.
Yes.
Like it's really so sad, like
Yes.
how disconnected we really are.
It's awful. It's awful. Yeah,
And then
it's really sad.
and I wanted to ask, like, because at least in my experience, courtship nowadays is not even courtship. It's like a weird game of who's gonna text who first. Another thing with the cell phones, which, like you
Ah,
said, you didn't really have.
yeah.
I'm guessing you called, you set a date, you met on that date, and that's
Yeah,
what you did, like, in between, but
and
now
if
it's
you
like
weren't at home, you missed calls, or you like, you couldn't take your phone with you in my day, you
I
know?
can't imagine, like, today, like, you
Yeah,
just
no.
find your phone for 10 minutes, you're like, "Ooh, ooh,"
I
like, the
know,
whole
where's my phone? You start
here,
having panic attacks, yes.
which is
Yes,
not good, but really, the whole courtship kind of thing and who's gonna text who first, it's like we're adding these weird, unnecessary stressors to things that
yeah.
shouldn't even be there, and then it becomes this virtual chasing game or whatever, and I don't know, I just find it really unhealthy.
Now in certainly when I was, high school and whatever, there was still a little bit of the it's up to the boy to contact the girl. There we were coming out of it then, like girls were contest, they were contacting. Um, so I was born in the 60s, and so 70s and 80s were kind of 80s were my real, that's when I was a
Like
teenager, an older teenager. So, that but
that time.
but now I think it's pretty confusing.
It's
Like you said, who is supposed to do, because there isn't that line there where at one time it was the boy calls the girl, the boy asks the girl out. You know what like there was that.
easier. I'm a
Yeah.
person, I like guidance. If I don't know what's expected of me, I feel really confused. So
Okay.
I would prefer to live in that time because that would just make it easier. Then I know the rules
Yes.
and I know by like because this
Yeah.
I feel so insecure not knowing
Yeah.
should I, shouldn't I? And that
Yes.
really, at least personally, it really stresses me out a lot.
And I'm going to add to that sort of the societal thing going on now that women are there's an expectation for women to be more bold and more this and more that, and we can be in certain areas, but
Sure.
this might piss people off, but I do
No,
think there is a part of us, we still want to be courted, we
I,
still
I
want.
do. I can
Yeah,
say openly, I do. I appreciate it
yes,
again, mostly because it just eases me out. It makes me feel like I
yes,
have a guideline. I can
yes,
follow it. If I feel uncomfortable with something, I'll bring it up. And I would love to kind of like give ideas for dates. And like, it's not, I'm just going to be all passive and just kind of follow along. But
yes,
I like that kind of leadership with the
yes,
guy. It just makes, I'm gonna go ahead and say it makes me feel a little safer. I feel a little
yes.
unsafe. Feel a little like I don't really know which direction to go. And for me personally, as a woman, I can't speak for everybody. I feel like if I do initiate too much, am I annoying? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
there's
yes,
this kind of fear, which
yeah,
might be ridiculous, but it's definitely there.
yes. Now I
So
do know, because I have sons and I have a husband, that there were there was pressure, especially, on the side of the man. Like there was still like, if I ask her out, is she going to turn me down or this or that? So I mean, there was pressure on both places, but the roles were a little more defined than they are now, which I think made it easier. It
I
made it
think so
easier.
too. Yeah. And like you said, not that we can't be bold and all that, but when it came to that, I can say I can imagine it was easier because I would prefer it today. And I'm not gonna say it doesn't happen, but it's very rare. Now I live in Sweden, if we were gonna talk about this whole gender kind of thing.
Yes.
Here it's very flat. Like it's not everyone, but it's definitely in the culture where you kind of even out that kind of like even I'm gonna say something that might shock a lot of Americans, but a lot of times if you go on a date here, I pay for me, you pay
See,
for
I
you.
was just gonna say, one of the
Yeah.
things that I actually like about it, that takes some of that pressure off,
Yep.
is you go what we call Dutch. I don't know why we call it Dutch, but
Oh,
going Dutch is that you each pay for your own.
thank
Um,
you.
and really with how expensive things are these days,
You're right, especially in Sweden too. I can understand.
I think that's really wise to do that, to you pay for your own. Yeah. And
But it's very prevalent in the whole culture with
yes.
a lot of things.
And I'm sure this could piss people off too. Although, our core group of people, I think we mostly have similar views. So, but
True.
I think women are really, and men, but sort of sold this bill of goods these days where women want everything. We want the career and the family and the kid, the husband and the kids and the everything, and you can do it all at the same time. To a certain extent, yes. However, I still think things are
Mhm.
changing, but I still think most women want to have a partner and want to be taken care of. And yes, I can still have a job or I could still whatever, and have children. But
Yeah.
I think even society puts these expectations on, like, you don't have to get married, you don't need a man, you don't want, well, maybe I don't need one, I don't know, well,
I
I
want one. Yeah.
I want one, yeah, and
Yeah,
why is it
exactly.
not okay to be able to say that? I want to have a partner, I want to share my life with someone.
I know
That's
it's almost you're right. Definitely. And again, compared to how women were treated in the, I don't know, 30s, 40s, 50s, great. I get it, but I think like you said, maybe we swung a little too
yes.
much. Swung. Is that how you say it? Swing? Swung.
Yep, 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 yep. And you know what? I need my husband, and I've always needed him, and I'm not
And I
afraid
think
to say that.
yeah.
I didn't just want him, I needed him too. And it's nice to have that partner where you both lean on each other and you need each other for things.
Definitely. And I
And
think it's impossible. I think at least my generation, it's almost like we get sold this idea that you shouldn't need
yes.
anything. Like it's weak or something, but I isn't aren't most relationships based on needs? Like
Well, I
even a
hope
friendship.
so.
Yeah, right. Like you said, like I need connection, I need
Yes.
company, I need
Yes.
closeness. I need all those things are essential for a human, I would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
But you're
Absolutely.
right. Yeah, we definitely have this pressure to like, and I agree with you. I think that if you want to do the successful career, raise your kids, be married all at the same time, you're going to end up a stress wreck. Like,
Oh
I think it's
boy.
like
And we've seen them. Or the kids end up suffering or something.
exactly
Now,
something.
I do want to say, I understand certainly single parenting really
I
has to be the hardest job on the planet.
I can't even
There's
imagine.
no, I mean, I can't even imagine that happening.
No,
So please know, any of you who are single, who are screaming at us right now, that you're in a different situation, or if you want to be married and have a family and have a career, and if you can swing speaking of swing, if you can swing all of that, oh man, more power to you. I was not
yeah,
someone that could do it all. I can't.
yeah,
So I was a stay-at-home mom, and now I have a career. So in my lifetime, yes, I've had it all. Just I couldn't do it all at once. And
at the
we
same
but
time.
we should be respectful of people. Whatever you choose for your life is okay
I
for you.
absolutely.
That's okay for you if that's the way you and your partner want to do it, or maybe you don't have a partner. If that's the way you want to do it, then we need to be okay with it and stop, because there's a lot of that now. Of even when I just took over this conversation, even when my kids were small and I was a stay-at-home mom, there was backlash from the working moms. It's like, why can't I this is what, like I was less than, or she's not very, she
Yeah.
can't have a job, or she can't, it's like, I do have a job. I'm raising my children and taking care of
Yeah, I
my family.
think that a lot of people forget that it is a job, and I think that, I mean, you're right. I see that today too. So I don't think that I think if anything that kind of went up. I think people today look down on people that want to stay home even
Yes,
more.
it's
Because
more. Yeah, mine
yeah,
was at my age, or my group, it was kind of, I think, starting, or it had already, but not to where it is today.
no, it is, and I agree. I mean,
And
if
why
that
is it any
if
of your business?
exactly, yes, if I'm fine, my kids are fine, and that's something I choose for me.
Yes.
You go work, you do your thing. I 100% agree. Everybody should have the right to do their things, but what we're saying is it is hard to do it all at once.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I know
And
sometimes I can only speak for Sweden. Even though we have a culture where it's very equal and like
mhm,
equal can be good, it could be bad, but in many times it's good because like when you come home, it's not, it shouldn't be expected for if you both work 8 hours a day and you both have kids. I don't think it's fair to expect your girlfriend or wife to do all the homework because then she
right.
works 8 hours, does the kids, and she does everything at home. So I
Yeah,
mean, that's just unfair. Like it's
yeah,
one thing if someone works and the other one actually has stays home and does the job there.
yes,
That's like
yes.
it's already kind of decided.
And I've met women like that. And I'm like, what he can't have, is
Yeah.
he, are his arms broken or something? Like, why can't he? But she feel, but now here's a thought. Is that her, that instinct to care for
I agree.
the husband and the kids and the family? Like, does that instinct kick in? And so then she's trying to do it all or something. I don't know. Mike, you know,
Could be. No,
Mike.
I think
Mike always, he does more than I do around the house. So so he was always, I never had to worry about that with, that was never a fight in our house about,
but I
you're
mean, I have
you're not doing
friends that we're literally I know from talking to them, it's like their husbands they expect they're raised in a way, and I think a lot of them are raised
yes.
mothers that did everything. So
Yeah.
somehow for them it's just like, well, you're the woman, you're supposed to do it, even though you've been working 8 hours.
Yes.
You came home, you took the kids.
Yes.
Well, you have 2 hours before you have to go to bed, but then you do the food, do the dishes. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna lay around here, and it just
Yeah.
feels so unfair. Like if we do create equality, then it should be equal at home as well.
That's a great point you just brought up, because there are so many, I've seen this in your generation, these often single moms,
Mm,
or a mom, or a dad who was just kind of not present. Maybe they're still married, but not. And these, mostly the boys are the ones who are missing out, because the mom puts them in the place of the husband and sort of takes care of them and does all. And then these boys were raising a bunch of milk toast boys that, that are, do you know that saying? Okay.
oh, but I can imagine what it
Okay.
means.
And that don't want to do anything. They have no, like you
No,
said, they just expect it because that's what they're used to. And then these women, because these girls have watched their mother do that and think
yep,
that that's what they're supposed to do.
yeah.
And so
Even if they're really unhappy, it's
yes,
still kind of like, and then it's even worse because they're really unhappy with it. They're really tired, exhausted because, like I said, most of them here, at least, you have to have two salaries. It's hard in
yeah,
Sweden. Well, you get to stay at home. Here in Sweden, you actually, when you do have a baby,
I love
uh,
this.
and you do work, your job, why is it your job? The government, someone, I don't know, someone pays you for, well, a year. You can
A
stay at home.
year, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not as high of a salary, but you do get, so you definitely, like, you're
Yes.
fine.
So you
So
can
here,
stay home though. Here it's like maybe 2 to 3 months, but the pressure to go back to work early is there.
no, here you get 480 days altogether, mom and dad, and dad can choose to give it to the mom if they like it. Let's say
Oh,
you're married to someone and you're like, okay, we decide the husband he goes back to work because it just works better, then I can take the rest of his 3 months basically.
That's
And
awesome.
they also
Love that.
changed it now because we changed the government a little bit that we as parents, you can actually choose who you want to give it to. So the grandmother can stay home, the grandfather, an aunt, an uncle. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
they changed it. So you like the whole family.
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no,
No,
that
but I
doesn't
think
happen
but I like that. I like that about Sweden. I think especially
here.
like, you know, when the baby is small, you get to have that kind of time with your child. Even the dad, I think it's amazing that the
Yes.
dad has time. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Huh. Okay. So not only is your generation, you're not real good about meeting people and all that, then you have this generation of this codependent weirdness that has had, with these boys that don't know how to, or just want someone to take care of them. They don't know how to, hold up their end of a relationship. And
Exactly.
then you have many women, like we talked about, who just learned, oh, I have to do everything, and he
Yeah.
doesn't, what. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Seriously, like, yeah. And I can get, so if you put it in that context, though, I can see where you a woman would go more toward her career. Well, I don't want a man like that who I have to take care of, so I'm just going to jump headfirst into my career and have a
Actually, you're right.
wow. That opened my eyes right there. Yeah.
Because and also I think just like you said, a lot of us come from parents where they had like you either had a mom that did everything or you had a dad that wasn't. So either we're a boy that watched it or we're a girl. And I
Uh-huh.
think a lot of us, when it comes to this kind of committing, we're so terrified of it being like our parents or being the woman that does everything, and then you just feel you're not with a husband, you're with another child. And how
Oh
could anybody
God.
want that? Then it's like, well, if I wanted a kid,
Yeah.
I would have gotten a kid. I wouldn't get me a
Yes.
boyfriend. Like it's
Yes.
just ridiculous.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of fear, and it's just natural to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna work, and yeah, what
Yeah.
happens happens.
Yeah.
Because
So
yeah,
I want to say something to, I'm sure that we do have some men that listen to us, not a lot, but there are men, and often they're and more gay men than straight men. Um, but I just want to say this, that if you're treating your spouse like a mommy who has to take care of you all day, she's not going to want to sleep with you. Just
oh no,
saying.
absolutely not.
Just saying. And
I can attest.
I don't want to sleep with a grown boy. You know what I'm like?
No,
That's
I
not, no, I'm not raising you. You are an adult.
exactly
Yes. I want a partner, not a son. I have sons. You're like, no. Yes.
right.
And I know
And
that's a big complaint too. Like there's not enough sex in the marriage. There's not, well, be the man that she wants to be with. Hello. Or
yeah,
whichever way that go. Like then stop. Your dynamic is skewed somewhere
yep, for
because
sure.
because gross.
Oh God.
I don't want to take care of you all day and then feel sexy at night. Like, that doesn't work,
Oh,
right? So,
oh God. That a little bit, and I think sometimes we women, I think some they just expect that it. Like if you watch your mom do it, you
yes,
just kind of it's the way it is. So you just
yes,
accept the situation, and I think not
yes,
everyone, but a lot of people they don't even know that it shouldn't be like it doesn't feel good, but like this is the way it is.
yes.
So even to the girl, like it doesn't have to be that way, ladies.
No,
Like it doesn't, it
no,
shouldn't be that way. Like really, no.
no.
And
And
it's another thing if you're someone that like you love cooking, your love language is cooking for your family. That's what you
yes,
do, but
yes,
it's not this kind of obligation like it's
right.
like it is to a child. It's just
Yes.
no.
No, and no. No,
Yeah.
no, and no. All right. Yeah. Yes. Oh, relationships are, oh, they're difficult enough. And one of the things, oh, this is what I was going to say with children too. So we grow up, the same sex parent is a very important parent as far as how am I going to be in this world? That same sex parent. And then the opposite sex parent, that's who I want to be with.
Yeah.
So you can see where kids get confused if the parents are, it's a bad relationship, it's real codependent, or he just lazes around, whatever. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yes.
No, really. And you can see that, especially my generation.
Yeah.
You can definitely see that.
Yes.
And again, this kind of, yeah, I think it's almost like we compete. You know what I mean? It's not like we
Yes.
don't compliment each other like we maybe did, like
Right.
men and women in that way. It's almost like it's a competition. It
Yes.
feels that way many times, like
I don't want to compete with, I mean, okay, once a week, Mike and I sit, we play dominoes
it's
and
fun.
we
That's
play
what I felt
3
like that.
games and he usually wins, but boy, when I do a happy dance. I let him know that he just lost. I am in his face because it doesn't happen that often. But that's fun competition.
Fun. That's
That's
fun.
competition
Yeah.
that's really fun
Yeah.
and whatever. And when I beat him, he acts so offended and so, just he gives that to me, which is really nice. Yes, he does.
That's funny.
But we're very different, he and I, which is what makes it work, I think.
What's funny also when I think about it, so I live in Sweden. Again, I said it 300 times. If anybody missed, I live in Sweden. Should I say it again? But it's funny with how different cultures are.
Yeah.
So in Sweden, it's very international. We have people from all over the place. Like I said, I have students that are from America, from anything. And
Yes.
so I have dated people here from different countries. Many like me, we might be born or have parents from different countries, but we still grew up here. But others that just kind of moved here recently or whatever. And it's very different from culture to culture. So again, not to say that every culture is the same. I know everybody's different in the culture, but from my point of view, was like I dated a British guy. I think we went on a date or two. It was years ago, and it was so because we were walking, and again, I'm from Sweden. If anybody missed, well, and we were walking on a sidewalk, and he was like closer to the building, and all of a sudden he just kind of stopped and he went like
Yes,
just
I love
on the
that.
side of, and me living in Sweden, I was like, what? Why is he doing that? And
Yes,
then it dawned on me like, oh, it's like a gentleman thing. Like
yes,
I guess I don't know
yes.
if I would fall out in
It's
the
a
street.
protective thing. Yes. Yeah.
Which I personally, not to say that every Swedish man is not like that, but personally, when I've dated, I haven't experienced too much of that. Like, and not that they're not gentlemen, it's just not in the culture as much because here it's very like you're independent, especially women. You are independent, so and also some things here might almost seem offensive. I don't find it offensive. I think it's just sweet that a gentleman like
Yes.
you're.
Me
But I
too.
think
Yes,
that a
me too.
lot of men here might think
Women,
like,
stop getting so offended. Stop getting
yeah,
so
but we,
offended
yeah,
at these things that he's just doing out of kindness.
and I can understand from that perspective that men stop doing it because then you don't know, is she going to be happy about it or is she going to give me a whole lecture about I don't need your help, get out of the
Right,
way, I don't
right.
understand.
Yes, that's true too.
So I can understand them being scared to do these little things that you maybe did more, like open a door, or, hold someone's bag, or just help them with it doesn't happen now. It's like hold your damn bag, woman. I don't
Right, right.
like sometimes I can get really pissed or not pissed, like irritated. Like sometimes I live alone, and whenever I buy food or something, I have to carry it. Like there's physically not anyone else there to help me. And sometimes I come with my bags and I want to go into my apartment building and a guy walks by me and he can see that I'm struggling.
Yes.
Like I'm struggling, I'm getting the bag. I've never had anyone saying, excuse me, I can hold the door for you ever. That just doesn't happen. And here,
Really?
never. No. And I remember thinking so many times, damn it, what happened to this kind of
Yes.
courtship? But
Just
then I
kindness, just
remember
kindness, just kindness. And that whether that would be a male or a female, you would hold the door open for that person who's struggling.
yeah. No, but here I've never experienced it. Not to say that it doesn't happen,
Right.
but when I think about it again, I'm sure that guy looking at me, maybe he wants to, but he might be afraid of me
Yes.
actually yelling at him. I
Yes.
can imagine that's something that's going through his head. Like, I hold the door, but then she might tell me I'm an asshole, I'm a misogynist. I can hold my own damn door.
Yes.
And that does happen. There are women that do that too.
Absolutely,
So
it does.
I can understand.
As a matter of fact, it happened to me once. Well, there was a man who was he was disabled and physically, and so he he had, I don't know what they're called. They're not really, but you're, um, anyway, he was struggling. He had, I don't know, like
Walker?
canes, but they're
Oh,
hooked to your, you're trying. So anyway, it was at a restaurant, and I held the door open for him, and he snapped at me because he could do it himself, and I'm like,
oh
okay,
shit.
like, all
So,
right, I'll just back off. Help it, like I was just being kind. I wasn't thinking, oh, the dude can't do it.
or
Oh,
you,
poor,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
he can't do
yeah.
it himself. He was struggling to keep the door open and get through the door. I thought it was a kind thing to do.
You did not think so.
Isn't that something?
He did not like that. I see. Wow. But yeah, again, very different, and I guess
Yeah.
it goes both ways, men, women, wherever it
Yes.
is. Just
Mhm.
it comes to show how different we all are.
Yes.
But here, it's yeah, rarely. It's a very big culture here, being independent. And that's another thing I wanted to ask. Like, speaking of cultures, I know in the United States it's common to get married, right? That's just something you do, right?
Sure. There's still a lot of married women here. Yeah.
Or is that kind of changing with the generations
It is changing with the generations, but there's still a lot of marriage that happens. Yeah.
now? Okay, okay. Because here it's might get married, but might not. Like, it's not
Yeah.
a thing. Like, I don't dream about a wet. Like, in my mind, I want
Right.
a partner, but
There's still a lot of like living together without getting married.
yeah,
And that,
absolutely.
yeah.
People are a friend of mine from work. She's been with her now husband. They got married like a week ago. But they've been together for 13 years. They have 2 kids. They have a house they bought.
Wow. So they
They
went
got
in a
married.
different order. Yeah.
Yeah, they got married, and that's really common here. You either meet, you live together, you have kids, you might get married, or you might not. It's
Yeah.
just whatever, kind of.
Yeah. That is happening more and more here. Absolutely. Um, I personally don't understand it. I think if I've decided that this is the person, so some of that, because I've asked people, I was like, why don't you just get married? I don't need a marriage certificate to define my relationship or whatever. Why don't
Yeah,
you want that extra commitment? And I wonder if it is so I can leave if I need to. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think with the generations, I definitely feel, because we have that kind of, and again, I think it goes back to like, what if it ends up like my parents? I want to have an exit, just in case. I
yes.
want to. I
It's
think
like
it's
an exit
only
strategy. So I'm not, because that would be too messy if we were married. Yeah.
a lot of legal steps, and you have to get divorced. You have to have divorce on your kind of like
Yes.
the information about you, and I don't know either. And it's funny, once we talked about, because even here, like, it's so funny. You don't get married, but you have kids. Kids are for life. Like,
Yes, yeah, like
you
you're bound together now.
yeah.
Sorry, dude, but you're bound together now.
So
Like
it
it,
makes no sense. Like, oh, I
yeah,
don't want to get, but you already
yeah,
have the kids. Like, you're
yes,
pretty much for life now. At least, yeah, for your
yeah,
life.
yeah. I
I
don't
know.
know what goes on in people's heads. I think you're right, though. They look at the past generations and think, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do it different, which is a pretty typical kid thing to do.
Yeah.
However, it's really, and I think it does add to that whole, I'm a woman and I can do everything. I don't need this. And maybe that's how they justify that. Well, if I don't marry him, that means that I don't need him or something. I don't know. I
Maybe.
don't know. And of course, I can say that from the woman's side point of view. I'd like to hear the man's point of view on
I
that.
would love to hear that too.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
would love to. I
Like,
don't know what that is.
it's just not as expected here. Where if I would talk about Bosnia, it's expected there. Like, it's you don't
Yes.
find people living together and not married. I mean, I'm sure in bigger cities it might happen, maybe more. Oh, actually, my cousin is that, but they're still engaged. So
Yeah.
it's still an expectancy. While here, it's not. There's not that kind of. No one really cares, to be honest.
In Morocco, where my son lives with his wife, you date to marry there. Like there's no, you don't just date, you don't just willy-nilly just sort of date. That's really not
Oh.
what they do.
I do feel personally, with time, that things change. If you meet someone that wants the same thing as you, no matter how strange it is from the outside, and but if you both are happy with it, if you both want to live your
Yeah.
life like this, go ahead. Like, really, be
Yeah.
my guest. Just don't hurt each other. Don't hurt anyone else, and do
Right.
whatever you do. Live together. Don't live together. Whatever. But just as long as it kind of fits.
Hmm.
So maybe just relationships are just changing. I don't know what's going on.
And let's stop being so judgmental of the other ways people want to
Yeah.
live their life and how they want to do it. But we also need to be honest about it, because
For sure.
people aren't honest about it at all.
Oh, you're
Like,
right.
I mean, I'm sure you know that with dating, that the man doesn't always say, I just want to hook up. I don't want,
I
they don't
you
always
know,
say that, right? Although some do, because you've
I
told
was
me
just
some
gonna
do.
say, sometimes
I can appreciate that though. Thank you for telling me
appreciate
what you want.
I appreciate the honesty 100% because then I know, then I can just kind of, okay, good for you.
Yeah.
I'm not really there. That's not my thing. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I actually had those conversations because with dating apps, it's easy. You start talking to someone, and I really do appreciate the guys that are straightforward and say, "You seem like a sweet girl, but I want to say right now, I'm in for one thing. If that's not your thing, let me know." And I actually tell
Oh,
them, I appreciate you telling me personally, I'm looking for a relationship that's not comfortable, but I really hope you find what you need. They're like, "Thank you, you too. We think
love that. I
we're
love
done."
all the props in the world for that dude,
100%. That's
right?
really it shows some kind of maturity, even if you want, okay, you can look up, but at
Absolutely.
least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
And then you can meet people that want the same thing and no
Yes.
one gets
But be
hurt.
honest. Don't
Be
be
honest.
the person who just wants a hookup but is acting like they want a relationship.
Those
Stop.
are the worst. I mean,
Stop
people are
that.
so manipulated. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
That's not a
and there are plenty of women out there that just want hookups too. So
what
go
do you mean?
find that person. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like part of because some people are a little damaged, to say the
Yes.
least. So I don't know if some people just enjoy the whole manipulation kind of,
Yes.
what do you
Yes.
call it?
They do.
The duping and delight, like,
If they
oh, look
can
at
get
her.
you or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that some people definitely have that unconscious
Yeah.
trauma response or whatever. They kind of like
Absolutely.
the whole fooling you.
I remember, so I have three older brothers, and one of the things that I remember one of them saying is that he he was a whore. I'm just gonna say it. The man was a slut. He slept with everything, but um, but he did want. He's now been married for, I don't know, 40, maybe more than 40 years, 45 years, something. He did find who he was looking for, but in those years that he was a whore,
Looking.
he he would say, well, if she's going to give it up, I'll take it. But as soon as she did, he knew she wasn't the right one. Like,
Okay.
and I always I don't know why, but I just remember that he'd say, if she's going to offer it, I'm going to take it, but then I immediately know she's not the right one. It's like,
Wow.
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 Well,
But
yes.
there are a lot of those. There are a lot of people that are like that, especially
Yeah.
guys. Probably
Yes.
women too. But again, I appreciate the honesty. I really do. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I think
that
that's
a lot
great.
more. But then there are those who try to be all sneaky about it. We have the honest ones, boldly honest, the dishonest ones. God, I think those in between are the worst. They try to be like, you know, I don't want something serious now, but I might later on. Like, something like
Oh,
hook. It's like, oh, come on. Like,
yes,
oh, I hate
yes,
that. They
yes,
put you on the hook. So I
yes,
want to say, if anybody's in this kind of waiting for someone trap, don't
yes,
wait. Never
yes.
gonna happen.
And you know what I'm going to say is, because I have some gay friends, and same thing happens in that's sort of its own culture too, right? Same thing
Okay.
happens with them too. Is you
That
know,
kind of like, maybe later, I might
yes,
want
that
to. Not right
dishonesty.
now.
Like, just be, yes. Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh, people being people at the end of the day.
Yes, yes, yes.
But I am a ma'am officially. Ma'am. I've been called ma'am by my students.
Oh, okay. Well, that goes
Like,
along with
I
your
get the
one gray hair or something that you have, right?
You must have seen it. No.
So when we got on here, and just so everyone knows before we start recording, I'm full head of gray hair, right? And I totally get this, and it's really funny. But she's like, "Oh, I found a gray hair," and I'm like, "What?" Oh, that's too bad. You must feel old. Here I am, full gray. I started graying though when I was 20. So
It's so different. I had another friend, she also started graying when she was like 20. It's so
yeah,
different from, I guess it's genetics or I don't
yes,
even
it
know.
is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
actually is. I tend
And
to
then there
say
are
it's,
some,
you know,
what do you say?
having kids, but I didn't have kids that early, but this
But
is what
then
two
there are
boys will
people,
do to you.
I can only imagine. So I'll get back to you when I have
Yeah.
kids. And then there are those people that are like 80 and they still have their hair color. Like,
I know,
how
isn't
is
that bizarre?
like,
Yes.
it's super strange. How is that even possible?
I don't know.
So
I don't
strange.
know. And I'm sure I've said this before, but I give my daughter-in-law, um, who was she and I think they were still in high school. And yeah, they were still in high school. And she would come over and I would be, just because I try to keep my hair dark, and I'd be bitching about, because this much gray is not easy to cover. And I'd always, I'd have the mascara out trying to get rid of the
Yeah.
whatever, the grow out and everything. And she'd just say, Pam, would you just let it grow out? And I'm like, no. And finally I did, when I finally gave that up and I went, okay, I'm going to look older, I'm going to look whatever, and I don't care. I'm just so tired of trying to keep this colored. And then I was like, why didn't I do this like 20 years ago? Like, why did I fight so hard to keep my dark hair when it's just clearly not what my Deva wanted to do? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
But
again, I blame society. If we have to blame something, we always have to blame
yes.
something. It's society. We have these, I don't know, especially again, if we want to talk about generations, God, the pressure of staying
Ah,
20 for the rest of our life.
yes.
I mean, come on. It's like you
Yes.
see one little wrinkle, it's like, oh my God,
Yes. Panic.
and I want to say as a woman, it's hard, especially with social media, not
Yes.
dating apps. Now dating apps are nothing, but social media, it's hard to not get those thoughts like, oh my God,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
there, but still, yeah.
Oh,
So
try
I
having two YouTube channels, and like right now the light is really good and everything, so you don't see as much of my wrinkles, but there are times with certain videos it's like, oh my God, who is that old woman on there? But you know what? I'm just trying to embrace it. I'm
yeah, I know what you mean. I
Yeah,
know. I
but
mean,
you're right, because well, kids in their 20s now are having Botox. It's like,
I know.
what
It's like
wrinkle do
you don't
you
even
have? You don't even have
exactly.
any wrinkles. No,
It's like
no.
this preventable Botox. It's like what
Yes.
the hell is even preventable? What?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I watch these this is to help keep me from getting too vain and like wanting plastic surgery. I watch these like plastic surgery nightmare things, and
oh, that's a good idea.
watch
Yeah.
all those kind of, and they used to think that those what are they called, fillers, because people put them in
Uh,
their, that they
uh,
just went away in like 6 months, you have to go get them again. They're finding out now, oh, it doesn't go away, they just migrate other places in your face and in your head.
I
Have you
saw
seen
that the
it?
MRI of the
Yes,
face. I
it's
know.
not the
I
same thing. Oh,
yes. I
yes,
mean, I also feel it's like we're experimenting with things that you just kind of like.
yes, yeah,
I'm all for confidence. If you want to
yep,
look pretty, of course you should look pretty. Anyone should feel pretty.
yes.
I absolutely understand if, especially if you grew up being super bullied for something, I can
Oh boy,
understand.
yes,
We all know how that kind of hurts, and it
yeah,
does get to you being young. It gets to your head.
yes,
I'm all for doing what you want, but I don't feel like we're creating a society where natural aging is just embraced. And
right,
I always think about like not everybody has the privilege to get old. Some people
right,
they don't ever get old. So
yes,
and I do appreciate the celebrities that actually just let themselves age
yes,
naturally. There's not a
yes.
sure you have makeup,
Although
you
I
have
do think they all have something done.
probably
All
that
have
little here.
something. However, I do appreciate those ones, or the ones like they're not many, but there are a couple celebrities who actually say, "Yeah, I have stuff done. Yeah, I have it all the time. I'm
Again
always
with the
getting,
honesty.
you know, yeah."
Like,
Other than those ones that are like my age and are like, "Oh no, I've never had." It's like,
yeah.
it's like, oh honey, please, yes,
Okay.
you have.
Wink, wink.
Yes, right. Wrinkles and sagging, that's all part of getting older. So,
Yes. I
yeah.
mean, we literally have gravity against us.
Yeah.
It's impossible
Yes.
to
Yeah.
not have it happen.
Impossible. And
And
yes, I do
find,
makeup and stuff, so there are things
so do I, but
obviously, so I do too. That's a part of vanity as well. Yep, I put makeup on, but
I
I'm
do
not
too. But at
doing
least, like
cos
you said, no, no, same here. It's scary. I think operations are scary as it is.
yes.
And again, not to put anyone down. If people have that big insecurity and it's a something, I respect that. But I do agree with you. I appreciate the honesty. I did this, I did that. This is not my natural look. I did all these things. So
Yes.
just so everyone knows, I think that's great.
Well, and I wonder about dating someone like that. Like I would love to hear from a man that says that dating, like you go to date someone, it's like, oof, she's had a lot done. Like,
Yeah.
is that, and then you wonder, well, who is the real person? Is there someone really behind that? Or I would love to hear from a man. I would love to hear what they think about that.
But
About,
it's also funny. I think a lot of men, they say they want this natural woman, but the natural woman in their head is still someone that's very fixed in a way. Do you know what I mean?
yes,
Like,
yes,
pick the one with no makeup, but it's still makeup. It just doesn't look
yes,
like makeup because you
yeah.
don't understand it. But I'm still
Mhm.
wearing mascara. I'm still having whatever. But they call that, the natural woman doesn't
Yes,
have makeup or who doesn't. And it's like,
yeah. You know what I also heard on that thing? Sorry, y'all, we're gonna kind of go off on a little plastic surgery thing here. But that women for the past, I don't know how many years, hasn't been a lot of years, maybe 5 or so, there's a real movement to take out their breast implants and not do breast implant because they're finding how many illnesses are happening because of the breast implants that they didn't put them together with breast implants before, but now that enough time has gone by, that, and I can't even list the amount of illness that happens, but so women are starting to take them out now and just go more natural. That's more of a thing now, although the whole butt implant thing is just weird,
yeah,
but
yeah. I was gonna say, it feels like the trend went from breast to butt
yes,
in recent years. You
yes,
don't hear as much, oh, I'm getting my breast done. I don't know. Ladies, why do we do this?
I
Let's
know,
just
why do we do this to ourselves? Just stop.
oh yeah, oh
Yes,
my
just
god.
stop. So
I
that's
find
all.
it sad. I find it sad that we live in that kind of society. And as a human, I can admit it does get to you. Like it
Yep.
gets in your head. You
Yep.
start thinking about, should I be a little?
So
But then
if
you're
you're
like,
one of those people, watch those shows of stuff gone bad, or
you're right.
plastic surgery gone bad, or there's some really good plastic surgeons on YouTube that really talk reality and really they're really good. And because believe me, there are times when I'm like, who is that old lady? Maybe I should just have a little bit done here. And then I
Yeah.
just go watch one of those surgeons on and like, okay, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna keep on and go the way I am. I'm fine. But it does get
Yeah.
to
It does get to you.
yeah,
I say that too. Like
yeah.
even like with age, I know I'm still young, but I'm still older than I was 10
Yeah.
years ago. So
Yes,
if
you
you
are. Yep.
and
Yep.
you start to see changes in the face, and it's
Uh-huh.
like at least looking at pictures, like, wait a minute, didn't I have a little more volume here? Didn't I have a little more of that there?
Yes, yes. And you get
And
the long gray hair and
yeah,
it's like
stop.
yes, yes. So
But
and
it's a hard being human in 2024 for sure.
oh my goodness.
Especially
Yes,
living
it
in these
is. And like,
bizarre and definitely vain times, like you say it. It's a
yes.
lot of, and it's so easy. Going to get some fillers. It's like going on your lunch break. Okay, I'm
Yes,
back. It's not even a
yes,
big deal. It's so accessible.
yes. But the
And
fact that all those fillers that we found out they're like
I know.
migrating around your oh my gosh.
And
That
will
is
they
just
ever go away? Is what I wonder. Is
I
it
don't
always gonna
know.
stay? I don't know. I mean, that can't be healthy.
It can't know.
I can't imagine.
And they still don't know the extent of the damage that it's going to do. They
Right.
haven't had enough. Yeah, but I saw this one woman, she had this little brush kind of thing. She's brushing on her face, trying to get it back to where it belongs. Did you see that part of, I don't know if we saw the same documentary or whatever, but yeah.
She really like what did it so
Yeah.
it migrated like to
Yeah. So she was like trying to like get it to go back to like onto her cheeks. And yeah,
oh my
I
god.
know, isn't that sad?
And even with like celebrities, you know, you think they have a lot of money, but you can clearly see when it's gone really wrong. It's like,
Really
and
wrong.
then
Yes.
doesn't anyone tell them enough is enough? You look ridiculous. If you're gonna do it, at least do it a little bit. You know, like what is happening? I don't.
There's always going to be that doctor that will do everything. And I'm
And
sure
it's
there are. I'm sure there are some doctors that actually have scruples, that actually have ethics and say, you know what, I don't think this is okay. I think you need to stop. But they probably just get up and go to the next doctor who will say yes, right? I think so. And I think
come on. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
True,
So
true.
sad. So yes, relationships are hard in all areas. And
Yeah. Relationship with aging, relationship with
oh
each
my
other.
God. Yes, yes. Relationship with spirit, that's probably the best one.
You're
Um,
right.
the one that never leaves. You want someone who never spirit never goes away.
That's
Spirit is always there.
right.
Yes.
You're right. That is probably the
The most
best.
steadfast one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for
Yes.
sure.
Now it doesn't it's you have to learn to trust. So that
That
it's still a rocky road, even with that relationship.
right.
Learning how to trust, to understand, your wounding, all of that is part of that spiritual relationship. But boy, is it worth it. Greatest, best relationship ever.
Say, I agree. I agree for sure. And it's the like the most unconditional one.
Yes.
It's so pure
Yes.
in a way.
And
It doesn't expect something from you.
however you find spirit, God, whatever your verbiage is, however you find that is a personal journey, and it should be up to you and how you decide to do that. If you can do that inside of love, like in that vibration of love, that's fine. If that means you find a church to go to, that
It works.
it works. Yeah. Now our profession, as you know, our profession is professional psychics. There's a lot of they hate organized religion. A lot of people in our profession hate it, and there's just as much, I don't know if you call it bigotry or whatever, on both sides. Because
You're right.
organized religion hates what we do,
Yeah.
and then what we do sort of hates we need to get rid of this whole judgment and hate and whatever. Just find your God, however that works for you, and just love that journey and be part of that journey. Yeah. Somebody
100% agree. So
somebody
funny.
needed to hear that, so I had to say it.
No, I absolutely agree because I was thinking if it was, I think it was yesterday, just exactly those thoughts. I thought about how, and even I'm guilty of this, I'm just human, how easy it is to judge something that you don't really understand or
Yeah.
something that's so different from the way you do it. And I was really thinking hard about why is that? And I think automatically we do feel like someone will judge us, so you just kind of do it back, or it feels
I know.
automatically like
Yeah.
someone living differently, in them living differently, that they reject your way of being. So it's kind of,
Yes.
this is just what I speculated, but it's definitely, I think, a human thing to reject what we don't know. And I
Absolutely.
also think that a lot of people were hurt by religion growing up, so I can understand
Yes.
the kind of rejection and hate, resistance from them.
Yep.
But
Hence the
absolutely,
reason I use the word spirit, because
yeah,
I have had and still have people who I have clients who had that religious trauma, and just saying the word God
yeah.
triggers them. They can't, so saying spirit is a much softer verbiage.
Even for me, I didn't grow up with religious parents at all. It was never a talk in my house about God or anything. Never, it was never discussed. So I remember going into this as a really like, what is even this thing that people, but even for me, the word God, I do connect it to religion automatically. I think
Oh,
just from growing up and
okay.
hearing,
Yeah.
automatically, I think religion,
Yep.
God, religion. It just kind of,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. I have a question for you. I don't know if I've ever known this or have asked you, now that we know we've known each other for 7-ish years, I think. Have
When
you
we were younger,
Yes. looking back, have you always been psychic? When you look back on your life now, do you see that you were always psychic? Do you remember always having memes? Do you remember, like, how was your experience with that? I
Not when
told
I
my
was
experience on
really,
this channel many times.
not when I felt really low, but being a kid, yes. I
Yeah,
remember seeing things and seeing patterns, and
yeah,
I always talked to people that weren't there, kind of. I
yeah.
didn't, yeah. My mom always said, you just kind of talked to someone
I
that
just,
wasn't, yeah, like in your
yes,
room, you just kind of like that she didn't even understand. And my
yeah.
mom always told me, like, I knew I was going to move to Sweden before. I was telling my grandmothers and all that. And I was a kid. I lived in Bosnia. I didn't know what Sweden even was, but I don't remember this. But they told me, like I said, oh,
Wow.
about. And then we moved to Sweden. My mom told me, like, sometimes I like to play alone because I was a weird little kid. I like to play alone, like
You were an
me.
only child. You also were an
I'm an
only
only
child.
child. I'm just really, I don't know. I like my own little space. I just like to kind of play with my little things, and I like to keep my door closed. So I didn't like when my mom watched me. I did not like anybody being around me. And so my mom kind of kept the door a little open just to kind of make sure that I was
Yes,
alive in there.
yes.
And every time she would kind of peek in, I would say, "Go away! I know you're there." Like I just go away, stop looking at me. And she was always like, "How does she know that I'm still?"
Your spidey senses were, you had a big sacred space and you knew if someone like stepped into that space. Yeah.
I clearly remember it's a sound change. It's like something starts
Yeah.
sounds different. I can't explain when someone's close in my space or something. It's the whole sound changes. I can't
Yeah.
explain.
I totally get that. Being
Yeah,
just,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
yes, I don't know if, I mean, there might be some people listening who don't quite understand that, but I bet they all do. I think everyone that listens to us is intuitive.
Energy. I think
Yeah.
so too. And I think it's also, even if we all experience it so differently.
Yes.
So that would be
So
the
different.
way I experience it. For someone else, it could be a different way. So
Yes.
yeah.
Mine is less of a hearing thing and more of a feeling thing. I can just feel it. Like, someone's, in my
It's
very big space that, but even as a kid, I didn't know what sacred space was. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. But looking back, I can go, oh yeah, boy, would I set a space for myself
and I know that I
to
was,
know someone was coming.
yeah, and also as a kid, I knew how to kind of read people. I knew what to do to trigger people because I could automatically read it in their being for some. Like I
Yes.
knew what provoked someone, and if I really wanted to be a bitch, being a kid, I could say things that kind of poked in that because for
Yeah.
some reason I thought it was fun. I don't know,
Well,
but it's this kind of feeling. But I have to say, even people, people think like, oh, being clairvoyant is all, cool or whatever, but I rely the least on that clairvoyancy.
yeah,
Like
I
what you
agree.
see is not always what it's just a sight. You cannot know what that
I,
is and get
I
some kind
think
of,
it's because we're human. Humans rely so much on their vision.
yeah.
And that's what I think anyway, of the years of teaching, and that's just and that's the thing. Everyone knows the word clairvoyant.
Right,
They
yeah.
did not know the other Claire names, but they know that, like, that is such a big thing. And it's like, most of us aren't.
Movies and
Yeah.
yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if I am, and I want to say I don't see apparitions. I just see colors, patterns,
Yeah.
strings, shadows, something.
But
But
you,
it's
but as every good psychic does, because I know you had a really good teacher, um, taught you use all your clairs, and we all,
yes.
that's how you get the best. Plus, you're a freaking amazing channel. If any of you have not gone to Nan for a channeled reading, you really need to. She's amazing. She's my go-to. Yeah. You can get to her on our website, tcseverydaypsychics.com. And her email is there to contact her. She's amazing. But speaking of that, I don't remember how we met. I really don't. I just remember I got an email from you and we started talking. You were still to this day the easiest student ever in my life. Like, I don't really think I did. I think I just kind of held that container for you. You were so incredibly psychic. You had already been channeling, and
I've
you
been dabbling in
were,
it for a little, but you're right. And you kind of made me go do these practices and kind of stay consistent with it and just kind of like, yeah, guiding me.
yeah, until it just becomes secondhand, and then you don't, I mean, I don't have to practice anymore. You just,
Right. It was,
you know, yeah,
but it was
but you
really
have,
helpful.
yeah. But yeah, still at the top of my list of the proud teacher. Like, yeah, my student. And I didn't do shit. Like, she was so easy, but I'll take the credit.
Before that, it was just kind of all over the place. Like I didn't really know what to do with it. Like
Yeah.
it was just kind of confusing and then
Mhm.
and yeah. Yes, I really needed that container. I needed that kind
We
of like
all do.
hand to hold me through and just kind of like even push me to keep practicing and just and let go of like how I feel it should be and just kind of leave
Yes. Oh, that's a
whatever
huge one.
it is because I think we all had these like it should feel like this or I read somewhere that should be like this but it's
Oh,
not for me and it was really frustrating so it was really helpful to have someone like let go of all that and just do whatever you
yes.
get but work with everything yeah.
And we tell people all the, find, whether it's TCS or someone else, find a good teacher. Find a good teacher. I mean, kind of just stop there. That's, everyone needs, I had great teachers, some really bad teachers. You learn something from everyone. But
Absolutely.
when I say a good teacher, I mean, find someone who allows you to develop in your way, in your own time, with your clairs, and is not judgmental, or there are no expectations. It has that, those ethics. We have a pretty, we're pretty ethical at TCS. We try to be.
Love that. I love that kind of because it was really important for me too. It's not like, oh, you
Yes.
can read anything, you just go out and read it. It was more like, no,
No.
there are some guidelines to follow and
Yes.
permissions that we need, and it's not really our space to just poke in everybody's
No,
aura
not
without
unless you want some really crazy karma happening.
that.
And I
And
always say, Spirit gave us our gifting. Spirit can take away our gifting. If you're being really unethical and real, yeah, it can happen.
you're
Um,
right. And
so
even when I feel really low, I can't say it doesn't go away, but it's not something I pay attention to. Like
yeah.
when I just feel really sad or something,
You
it's
mean when
kind of
you're just being human? You're
yeah, it's kind of
just
fuzzy.
pivoting.
It's yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So
That's why you need other psychic people. Right?
right.
This is not a solo journey. It really isn't.
Oh,
You need
no,
other psychic people to help you out, because we all get in that vibration where you can't hear your guides that well. You can't get information. It's just because being human, our vibration is pretty low. And
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, when
yeah.
I work with language. So when I have students, I don't channel. I can't even mention the word psychic. It's such a different.
Oh,
It's just not something that I mix in there. Um, but there are things that you see and and you kind of want to like ask them, but I can't, and it's
yeah.
so frustrating at times because I just want to like, oh, damn it, but I can't.
Nope, you cannot. No. Two
I have
different
this one
worlds there. Two different worlds there.
two different worlds, and it's fine. Like
Yeah.
everything has its place and its
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
But I have one student that he lives in, and I knew it. Every time we meet, I think I wrote that in the group chat. It's this orb, but it's like I've never seen it. It has a tail, so when it moves, it's like a shooting star. It has a tail. I've never seen something like it, and I know it's not a. I know it's something because it flies around him. It even comes close to the camera. It's almost like it flies. It stops. It looks at me, and then it goes away.
Wow.
It's
Oh, I have goosebumps.
same room. And once he was in, I get goosebumps too in my legs, which is weird because I never get that. Once he was at his parents' house, he wasn't. It wasn't there. Nothing flying around. As soon as he's in the room in his own house, it's always there. It's almost like it's present as we have a lesson. It's kind of. I think it thinks it's funny that I can see it. But
Oh, yeah.
he's not phased at all. He's just kind of like nothing. And I'm like, how can you? Don't you? I
And
want to ask
maybe,
you something.
but then do you think he's just that he doesn't want to bring it up to you, so he keeps his mouth shut and acts like it's not there?
I've been trying to kind of like, and then he asked me, we had a lesson, we described his home, and he said his home is like over 130 years old. He's from England.
Oh
So I
boy.
was like, okay, say no more. I knew it was some kind of old
Yes.
house, and it's an old house. And I've been trying to kind of like, and then he mentioned, like, how old is your house? He's like 130. I'm like, ooh, do you believe in ghosts? It's like I'm trying to be a little playful, you know? But he just laughed and said, oh, no, one Halloween, we watched a horror movie and I wanted to do a Ouija board, but my wife didn't want to. And then he laughed. So he never even said, like, oh, you know what? This and this happened. So I don't think that he's at all phased. Like, no. But it's just so funny to me. It's like, it's so there. It's like, do you not even, don't you even, like, doesn't something happen? It's
And
crazy.
he might not. There are those people, it just, they don't want to know. It's like, no, don't want to know.
Yeah, I think and he's a very, very intellectual person. A very intellectual. Like it's a lot in the head. It's a lot of, you know, that kind of thinking. So I think you're right. I think it's just not in his world at all. And if it's like ghosts and like it's like one of those fun, like, oh, let's have a Ouija, like it's not serious. I don't think so. But it's really weird.
Interesting.
I want to know what that is. I've never looked into it.
I can't either. I mean, if he were to give me, maybe one of these days he'll say something. That would be awesome. Maybe on when you know you're having your last session, you've got to say, okay, look, I have got to say something.
You're right. I'm just because it's so there. And sometimes it goes crazy. It's flying all over the place. And it's like, it's almost like it wants to,
maybe
it's weird.
Maybe one of these times go, what is that that's flying around you?
I could do it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, maybe like, yeah, it's my ghost, Casper.
Right. Yes. And see what he says. And then if he says, it's probably a bug, just say, oh, okay. And just move on.
You're right. I should do that.
I'd love to hear. Yeah.
Right with a tail.
Yes,
it's
that's
a whole thing, but it's just first time I thought, oh, probably a bug or a dust, but every time we had like 10 lessons. Every time. Doesn't miss.
Oh, I so love that. You have, well, yes, you do know how much I love that.
I know. I wish you were there.
I can't know anything. I mean, you know, I can't. Ethics says, Pam, stay in your own lane and do not, this none of your business, unless he were to ask me to do something, right? Yeah.
And even I can't, like you said, I don't feel the permission to look into it's there. I respect it. It looks at me. I look at it, but it's
because you had a good teacher who taught you ethics.
Right.
That's why.
Right. I wouldn't poke in that. I wonder though, since I see it on camera like this, can he not see? Because he can still see himself. Can he not? I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Is it? And if I filmed it, would it come on film? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I do know what you mean. I have no idea.
Because clearly he doesn't see it, and if it was that visible, he would probably.
This is so exciting. Okay, you have a job now, and it's to figure out how to get him to talk about this thing.
Right.
Yes.
I will.
Yes.
I will.
Like maybe put a picture of Casper behind you or something, and just see if he says something about about ghosts.
That's Casper. Don't you have a Casper?
That's funny, huh? Interesting.
Oh, well.
Well, on that note, I think that's probably a good place to stop. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate it. Hope you got something out of it. Please leave comments. Even if you're on a listen only platform, you can comment through that platform now. That's a real thing. And certainly on YouTube, you can say something. We'd love to hear from you. We appreciate you all so much for showing up all the time.
Thank you. It was really fun. Like you said, I would love to hear, well, anything from anyone. What do you think? Have you seen strange orbs in your home? Well,
yes. We're going to get Nan to like the paranormal sooner or later. I'm just saying that's a goal of
I know.
Don't tell Nan, but it's a goal of mine to get her.
I don't know why I'm so not it. I don't know. It's
no, you never have been, and I've never pushed you, but it'll happen when it's ready to happen.
Maybe it's slowly pushing me
Yeah.
towards it.
Yes. So, all right, everyone. See you next time.
Bye
Bye.
everyone. Bye.